Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here. In today's video, I'll be talking about Antonio Gibson and why I think Eric Bieniemy can take his game to the next level in 2023. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well. Those three things take 3 seconds and it helps out a ton. Also, check out Man to Sleep. Link in the description. Use code HTTC for 10% off. It feels like under Scott Turner, he really never fully maximized, I feel, Antonio Gibson's potential coming out of college. He was a receiver slash running back, and I thought he would be much more of a receiving threat and used much more in the passing game than he was. And he was used, as a receiver at times and did get the ball in his hands, but not as much as I think a lot of us hoped he would. You look at his stats this past season, had 546 rushing yards and 353 receiving yards, which is solid, but I think he can get much more than that. I think he can get 500 plus receiving yards, and not only 500 plus receiving yards, but get it in a different way than he did last year, which is mostly just right, behind the line of scrimmage, screens, stuff like that. And I think most running backs can do that. Like, you can give Brian Robinson those simple screens and he'll probably get close to the same amount of yards as, Gibson does, maybe a little bit less, but Gibson can actually run routes. He can run wide receiver routes because he was a wide receiver in college. We all know that. And there were times last year where he did that and it really worked. The game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, he had 7 catches for 72 yards and had a 26-yard catch. I believe that was one where he got out like at the 2 or 3 yard line. And he ran an actual route in that game. Same thing, I believe, in the Packers game. He had a nice touchdown reception. I think that was the game. It might have been the Colts, but he ran kind of like a slant or something like that, and he was able to catch a touchdown. It was either the Packers or the Colts game. And I was like, man, this is how we should use him. Like, after the week 1 game against the Jaguars, I was like, man, Gibson is going to have a great year receiving the football. And that just did not happen at all. After that, Scott Turner kind of stopped giving him the ball as a, pass catcher. He still gave him the ball a little bit, but you look at that. 7 is what you probably want him to get. I mean, 7's a little bit unrealistic, but if he could get 5 a game, that would be great. But he got 7 one other time, and that was it. 58 yards. And besides that, it was 2 or 3 every week besides week 3 where it was 1 yard. He should be getting 4 to 6 catches every single week, and you just got to give him the ball in open field and give him some routes. I think he can help you out in the red zone as well, and he's just a weapon that needs to be used and wasn't used properly in my opinion last year. And I think Eric Bieniemy can help him get to that next level. And Ron Rivera said, Gibson has shown tremendous growth. He said that, I believe that was today or yesterday. So that's very, very good to hear, and let's see it on the football field, though. One thing I wanted to talk about is Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon had 9 receiving touchdowns this past season for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Gibson might not be Jerick McKinnon, but 9 is a receiving record for a running back, and he was a backup. And I believe those 9 touchdowns were all at the end of the year. So if he can get 9 receiving touchdowns or give Jerick McKinnon 9 receiving touchdowns, like, imagine what he can do with Gibson just in general. Like, I don't think Gibson's going to get 9 receiving touchdowns, but I could see him getting more than 500 yards. So he got 56 catches for 512 yards, 9.1 yards per catch, and 9 touchdowns, which is absolutely insane. And I think it was in 9 straight games, I believe. I just want to check. Because, you see receiving touchdowns. Okay, never mind. I think someone said, or actually, it was. You look at it, or he had not 9 straight games, but from week 13 to week 18, he had a receiving touchdown. So, there was a possibility he was going to come here, but we didn't do that. But now with Gibson, he can be your Jerick McKinnon type player where he's your second running back in terms of running the football. Like, Brian Robinson, we know is going to get more carries than Gibson. But I could see Gibson getting a similar amount of carries as he got last year. Maybe not 149 because he did start the first few games when Robinson was out with, the injury there. But I could see him getting like 120 carries, and maybe he can get that yards per carry up. So it's like 120 for 4.2, 4.3, and he gets similar yardage than he did last year. and then, maybe a few touchdowns. But then the receiving wise, instead of 46 for 353, maybe he gets you, I don't know, 62 for 580 and like 5 touchdowns, and that's a big improvement over what he had this year, which is 350. The year before is 294. And Scott Turner did improve Gibson's pass production every single year, but it was barely. Like, I think he should have been used more, and we saw when he was used the right way how good he was. Because at this point, I don't think Gibson is an elite running back. Like, running the football wise, I don't think he's an elite at that part of the game. I think he's solid there at times, but I think as a pass catcher, he has the potential to be a top tier pass catching running back. I really do believe so, and I just think that Eric Bieniemy will help him get there because of what he was able to do with Jerick McKinnon. Real quick word from a sponsor. And huge shout out to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. They make the best sleep masks in the world. They have a bunch of different types, some that can change temperature and make it, cooler or hotter for you when you want, go to sleep, depending on the season. They also have ones with speakers so you can change what you're listening to before you go to bed and when you wake up. They sent me one about a month ago, been using it every single night, and it has drastically improved my sleep. I don't go to sleep without a Manta sleep mask. So make sure you guys use code HTTC for 10% off. Link in the description, and link will be the pinned comment. And one thing, Gibson has improved on is his pass blocking ability. Let's see, I'm trying to find the tweet. And this is PFF, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But Gibson was number 2 in pass blocking last year via PFF, behind James Robinson, ahead of Pollard and Swift. So pretty good, and that's definitely something that got a fly in my face. He struggled with in his rookie year, but definitely gotten better at that, and it's good to see him there. I don't know if he's the second best in the league, but much better than he was before, and that will help him get on the field and stay on the field on those third down situations. And with McKissick out, his production's already going to go up in terms of receiving the football, and I think with Bieniemy as well will get him, more efficient touches. And I think Brian Robinson will get some more, catches than he did last year as well, because this fly does not go away. But I think he's going to get some more catches than he did last year, just because, again, I think, Bieniemy might pass the running backs a little bit more than Scott Turner did. And he was a rookie, so he's going to have a little bit of development, and you're not going to have those McKissick touches, which, again, McKissick wasn't in there the whole year, but he was out for he was in there for part of it, which definitely took some touches away from Gibson. But I'm trying to see, even when McKissick was out, like, let's not act like Gibson was getting a lot of touches. 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. I don't know when he got hurt, but it was probably like around here. So I don't know. Just got to give him more touches, because he can do some special things with the ball in his hands, and he has route running ability, as a running back, which not a lot of guys have. And he can actually line up on the line of scrimmage and run routes versus just running routes out of the backfield like most backs do. He can do both, but that's the special thing about him. So I'm really hoping, he gets more involved in the passing game. Like 500 plus receiving yards is what I want from him. Like, honestly, similar stats. I want similar stats to McKinnon. Maybe a little bit more running the football, because you look at McKinnon and he had, let me go back to the actual log, but I think about like 250 rushing yards or 300 rushing yards. That's fine. I would like it. And he had 4 yards a carry. So maybe instead of 72, you get to like 110, 120, and he gets to like 500 yards. You know what I mean? Like, that's solid for Gibson, and like a couple touchdowns. But then again, as a receiver, you want him to get similar numbers to these, maybe some more yards and a fewer touchdowns, because 9 is crazy. 9 is crazy. But you see, like, McKinnon was always a little bit of a receiving back. He never got more than 2 touchdowns before he went to Kansas City and, worked with Eric Bieniemy. Even 2021, he wasn't, he only got 1 touchdown. So interesting to see. Definitely a little bit of an outlier, but, we'll see. He had 6 catches of over 20 yards and 1 catch of over 40 yards. And he had 19 over 20 in his career and 6 this past year. So Eric Bieniemy worked, his magic with Jerick McKinnon, and I think he will do similar things with Antonio Gibson, or at least I'm hoping. Definitely going to do better than Scott Turner did. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace, guys.